If Battlefield messes up this launch, then I personally think that it's safe to say that Battlefield will most likely never return to its former glory. And I don't say that with a light heart. Battlefield is what made me the gamer that I am today. It's what got me into shooters, the best and the most memorable time I've ever had gaming to date. I want this game to succeed, I really do. I want it to thrive. But I don't want to pretend that it's just alright if it doesn't. I did that with 2042 and that just kind of made me depressed, I'm not gonna lie. I tried so hard just to think that it's fine, it will be better, but it didn't. It didn't get better. And in today's video, you and I are going to cover exactly where Battlefield is right now, what the beta taught us, what DICE needs to add to Battlefield 6 before launch, what they need to remove, what they need to change, and what most likely will happen if they don't. And I also want to go over some lessons that we learned from previous titles and why they're so important for us to know and remember. My name is Guac and thank you for watching my silly little videos. Let's get right into it. Hey guys, Editing Guac here. I do want to just say that in this video, it might seem like I'm just shitting on Battlefield, but I genuinely loved the beta and I really liked Battlefield 6. So please remember that this video is purely about what needs to change in order for Battlefield to be even greater. But I do think it's important to put attention to the things that needs changing. So that's all. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. Right now, Battlefield might seem like it's in a really strong place, but it's actually really fragile. It used to be the alternative to people who liked shooters, but felt like Call of Duty was a bit too spammy and too fast. Battlefield was a whole new experience, with the opportunity for close quarter, high-octane fights, but also tanks versus helicopters, dirt bikes launching off into the sky, buildings collapsing, and so on and so on. We've all been there, right? They build up a sort of trust in the community that happens very rarely and is very hard to come by. Then they launched Battlefield 5, the first real miss in the franchise. Well, there was Hardline, but everyone kind of just forgot about that one.
You're not that guy, pal, trust me.
They started making some weird, odd decisions, straying away from the sort of realistic war story theme that they usually stuck to. You know, there were no female soldiers with one robot arm in World War II. You know what I'm saying? It just set the game up to be a bit weird and a little bit out of place. But everyone misses sometimes. So the community forgave DICE fairly quickly, in my opinion. But then came the next launch. Battlefield 2042. Incredibly hyped up and everyone was super excited and had pre-ordered that game, including myself. Man, if only we knew what we had signed up for. But you've all heard how bad Battlefield 2042 messed up and how it failed and yada. So I will not bore you with all of that, but I do need to set the context for why Battlefield don't have many straws left to pick from. It is known that DICE have had some leadership changes in the company before they started publicizing Battlefield 6. And it seems that they're genuinely interested in listening this time around. And I think that the beta showed us that that was the truth. Not saying it was perfect, but saying it was a clear improvement. Not only in gameplay, but in communication. But then again, it was a beta. The maps were small, the balancing was off, and then there was the one-hit wonder shotgun. The heli was a bit off, the jets killed everything in a fraction of a second, but the foundation of the game was there. And that's why the stakes are so high. They have the opportunity to bring so many people back to the franchise, not just for a couple of hours, but long term. But they have to execute this correctly. And that is the changes we are going to go over right now. Now, starting off with the beta. The beta was fun, and I'm not alone on that stand. You probably think so as well if you're watching this video right now. It reminded me why I loved Battlefield in the first place. It's big, it's chaotic, the moments you can't script in any other shooter. And that's important because it shows the foundation of the game is solid. But a good foundation isn't a finished game, it's the start of it. And the beta had some glaring problems that absolutely must change before launch. First off, the weapon balance. Some guns felt great, others felt like they did 0 damage. And then there was that shotgun. Oh boy, the shotgun. It was fun if you had it, it was miserable if you didn't. This kind of imbalance can kill a game faster than hackers if it doesn't get changed, and I'm sure that it will. But this is something that can be changed in like instantly, so it's nothing too serious, right? Secondary, it's the movement and mobility. Battlefield has always been known for its tactics and positioning, but in the beta, it sometimes kind of felt like Call of Duty, people bunny hopping, sliding, but this isn't exactly completely new to Battlefield. Battlefield 4 had some weird jumping movement that looked odd, but you couldn't shoot completely accurate while jumping like you can in Call of Duty, and you couldn't do that in Battlefield 6 either. I think it's overall fine. DICE has said they're already toning that down, which is good, but we need to see how that plays out at launch. Thirdly is the vehicles. The helicopters felt really awkward to control and really glitchy at times, while jets just lasered everything that moved. And on the other side, engineers could shred tanks very easily with rocket launchers. Vehicles are supposed to feel powerful, but not like they're either useless or unstoppable. Battlefield's entire identity depends on getting that balance right, because that is what makes a battlefield. It's not just the soldiers or just the vehicles, it's the mix of everything. Then there's the map design. Beta maps were fine. They were kind of small, kind of the same all around. We need something bigger, and destruction has always been Battlefield's secret sauce. And if they want this game to stand out, they need maps that feel alive, destructible, and big enough to actually use vehicles the way that they're meant to be used. But we've only had one map that allowed both jets and tanks, so I think we'll need to see more gameplay and try it out at launch ourselves when the game drops. So in short, the beta proved that the game has potential, definitely, but it also exposed some weaknesses that will absolutely ruin the launch if they are ignored. DICE needs to fix the balancing, the mobility, the vehicle tuning, and the map design, and I really hope that is what they've been spending these months on after the beta. Now, Battlefield 6 doesn't only have things to fix though, they also got some stuff they need to add, in my opinion. Now, I know I've already talked about the maps, and I know that there are already more coming. Bigger creators like Jack Frags have been posting videos on these new maps, but honestly, it's not that impressive looking to me. They don't look that big at all. The only map that looks great is Operation Firestorm, and we've played that map in like 4 or 5 games now, right? We know that's a good map. But that said, they're still way better than the launch maps we had in 2042. But that doesn't mean we should lower our standards. We're still paying at minimum $70 for this game. We have to keep that in mind. In my opinion, destruction in Battlefield 6 actually felt really nice, but I do miss the big Levolution size destructions like Siege of Shanghai or the tower on Caspian border, and I hope that these will be featured in the new maps to come. I know there is one map with a crane that kind of falls down and hits a building, but it still seems kind of small compared to what we've had in previous games. But the small scale destruction I really enjoyed, although this goddamn sledgehammer has to be reworked. It seems so odd that 2 hits with a sledgehammer can bring down an entire concrete wall. I don't think anyone at DICE has used a sledgehammer in their life. It's weird and it needs to change, in my opinion. Streamers went crazy after the beta was over on how the game needed more progression, grind metrics, battle passes, ranked mode, etc, etc. And I do not agree with that at all, almost anyway. And just give me a second to explain. I think it could do well to add some more progression to the game, where there would be some weapons or customizables available to unlock. I like the way Battlefield 3 did it, where you had these contracts where you had to do some challenges with other weapons to unlock the weapon you wanted to unlock. So you actually got to play some different playstyles, and it felt good to unlock weapons. And they could do this with cosmetic items or skins or something like that as well, because I don't really think having to level up to level 50 just to unlock a weapon is very fun. It kind of just makes people get bored, as they're just playing in a way they don't want to play for way too long with no in-game purpose, opposed to a contract where you'd, for example, have to get X amount of headshots with an M4 and then you would unlock the MTAR, or having to get kills on enemies that are highlighted by your tux. It makes you play more strategically and makes you think about what you're doing in the game. And I think that's why Call of Duty camo challenges are so fun to do, because there's always an in-game challenge that you're being rewarded for, instead of just having to turn your brain off for 5 hours until you reach that level. Moving on to more back-end stuff like servers and anti-cheat, I think it's nice that they added the secure boot anti-cheat, if it turns out to work well, that is. But it is concerning that people was hacking already on day 2 of the beta without being instantly banned. So I think they need to work more on it to make sure that that can happen as easily as it did. And on the server side, we need that goddamn server browser, man. I don't know why, but it's just like they refuse to give it to us, and they refuse to tell us why they won't do it. Most likely it's just to lower the server costs, as right now they have the most optimized setup. All the servers that are online are filled up all the time, instead of having a lot of unfilled servers. But we are paying $70 for this game, so honestly I think it's just greedy, it's annoying, it needs to change. They need to add that goddamn server browser, although I doubt it will actually be added, unfortunately. If there's anything you'd like to see added, then post it in the comments and let's get the word out there. Let's move on to things that I think should be removed completely from the game. Open weapon classes. Yes, I know. It's been talked about a lot and everyone has their own opinion. The majority of the player base wants this, and that is enough reason in itself. Even though you might not think about it, it can create scenarios where you can't play very tactically because you don't know what's gonna happen. Imagine this. You are rushing into a house with 2 mates. They both trade, so now it's 1 versus 1 one, you and him on the other team. Your teammate told you he's a sniper, so you can just push him. Do you think, obviously, I'm gonna win a fight against the sniper because I have an M4? So you push in, but then he has a SGX submachine gun and he has placed down a spawn beacon in the room because he's the sniper class, so his entire team is going to spawn there now. This couldn't have happened in previous games because you could get calls on who was where and what they could do, but now you don't know anymore. And you might just think, unlucky, but it's not unlucky, it's just stupid, in my opinion, of course. Or it could be a medic spamming medkits on himself while sniping me from 500 meters away. I have to headshot to kill him, otherwise he can just heal up before I get another shot off if I body shot him. Before this, you'd need another teammate to play medic to assist you, and then it would be a team play and a tactic, but now it's no longer like that, and that's why I think it should be removed forever and thrown far, far away. I think some of these gadgets and traits are kind of random and sort of useless as well, and they don't really fit into the game. It seems like some filler stuff for the classes, and they just kind of put it in there, like the training path. Why is it there? Why do you need to have a training path? It's just weird and it's random. I think it needs to go. So that's a lot of rambling about my opinions and all that, but what will happen if DICE don't fix these things? What if Battlefield 6 launches and it's another mess? What is the future going to look like? The first thing is that the community won't be patient anymore. With Battlefield 5 and especially 2042, people gave DICE a lot of chances, but everyone hoped that updates would turn things around, but most players didn't even stick around long enough to see the fixes. And the trust that has been there is mostly gone. If Battlefield 6 launches broken, people simply won't give it the time. The bigger risk though is the franchise's reputation. If Battlefield 6 repeats the mistake of 2042, it's not just another bad launch, it could be the moment people stop believing Battlefield will ever get back on track. And once a community loses faith like that, it's incredibly hard to win back. And for the players who do stick with it, it's not a great outcome either. A rough launch usually means a lot of empty servers, balance problems that never feel fully solved, and a smaller and more frustrated community that will probably lead the developers to just put bots in the game. And that's not healthy for the game long term. So yeah, the stakes are high. If Battlefield 6 gets it right, it could finally bring back the series, but if it doesn't, this could honestly be the point where the franchise starts fading away for good. When we look back at Battlefield's history, you can see a clear pattern of what happens when a series nails launch and what happens when it doesn't. Take Battlefield 3 and 4. Those games weren't perfect, but they came out swinging with strong maps, solid gunplay, and a clear identity. Battlefield 4 had its rough patches at launch, sure, but DICE fixed it quickly and it turned into one of the most loved games in the franchise. That recovery only worked because the foundation was strong and the players trusted DICE back then. They gave it the time they needed. Then we got Battlefield 5. This was the first big warning sign. It wasn't a disaster, but it stumbled out of the gate with some strange creative choices and a lack of content. People were confused about the tone, and while the gameplay was solid, it just didn't feel like the Battlefield people expected. The community forgave it, but it planted a seed of doubt. And then of course, Battlefield 2042. This is the one everyone remembers, not in a good way. It had so much hype and so much hope, but at launch it was buggy, unfinished, and missing features that defined Battlefield. The player base dropped almost instantly, and even after multiple updates, it never fully recovered. That one game damaged the trust that DICE had spent years and years building. The lesson here is pretty simple. When Battlefield gets it right, players stick around for years, but when they get it wrong, the community doesn't wait anymore. And after 2042, they don't really have the luxury of another miss. And that's why Battlefield 6 launch matters so much, because history shows us that first impressions are everything. Battlefield 6 has the foundations to be great. The beta proved that the chaos, the scale, and the magic that made us fall in love with the series in the first place is still there, but it also showed us the weak point. And if DICE doesn't fix them, if they don't add the right things, remove the wrong ones, and actually listen this time, then this could easily go down as the game that finished Battlefield for good. And I don't want that, and I don't think you want that either. We all want Battlefield to succeed, to thrive, and to finally give us something that we can stick to for years. But that only happens if DICE delivers a launch that doesn't need excuses or apologies. What do you think is the single most important thing Battlefield 6 has to get right at launch? Is it the maps? Is it the balance, the progression, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious where you guys land on this. My name is Guak, and thank you for hanging out and watching. I'll see you in the next one. By the way, check out this super cool video I made.